Hello again, Joe DeForest from Comprehensive Emergency Management Associates, and this is another one of our 10 for the Team Emergency Preparedness video series for Charlotte Public Schools. Today's topic is called Building Access Controls. No downloads are necessary with today's video. You don't need any ancillary materials other than what we're going to put up in the video behind me and occasionally through me. As you all know, we're painfully aware that there have been problems and violence in schools. Unfortunately, we read about it with greater frequency every month of every year. Schools are a place where individual, group, and societal conflicts play out. While our emergency plans anticipate conflict and even violence in our buildings, we prefer to emphasize a policy of prevention whenever possible. We're going to cover three main topics today under this general topic of building access controls. One is the idea that the context here is history. We know things happen in schools. We can't wish it away. Secondly, safety. We must know who was in our building. That now we're getting truly into the concept of access controls. And thirdly, security. We must build a culture of prevention in our schools. Charlotte Public Schools has made significant improvements to the physical infrastructure, the buildings, and their access controls over recent years. Let's look at the most important ones. Almost all of our schools now have a single point of entry in place and operative after the beginning of the school day. That point of entry is, in almost every case, visible and observable by a human being in real time, at all times. And finally, that human being has the ability to quickly and efficiently lock down that single point of entry to the school when we have a concern and we need to secure the population. We've also installed video monitoring systems in virtually all of the schools. Yes, there are a few blind spots, but for the most part, nearly every square foot of our halls and major spaces are covered by video monitoring. These monitors both record and store that video, but they're also available for live surveillance of any particular area in your building. We've had some problems with the video monitoring in the buildings. In the course of my building visits and interviews, we found some deficiencies, some weaknesses in these systems. The primary one is that we really don't have a great system to ensure that the video is monitored at all times in the buildings. Staff are busy, they are multitasking, and we're not always able to watch those video monitors at all times. All Charlotte Public Schools have human identification systems in place. However, in dozens of visits, badging for SEMA personnel was very sporadic and missed entirely in many cases. I can't explain why, and probably the reasons are different at different moments and in different buildings. Perhaps it was because we had an appointment with the principal. Perhaps it was because we were dressed professionally and didn't appear intimidating. Perhaps there were other reasons involved. But the fact is, we must objectively and candidly confront the fact that while we have systems and tools in place, they're not being utilized at all times. When those systems are not being utilized, our security processes are not in place. Proper ID is extremely important. Proper identification of individuals tells you, first, that they entered the building through an appropriate and monitored entrance and were screened accordingly. Second, that they were found to have legitimate business in the building. And third, that they had a confirmed destination, whether it was a physical location, an individual, a group, or whatever. Identification for every single person in the building is a must. We must have 100% compliance with this for your own safety and welfare. Principals, please take a second look at your own building identification systems and processes and ask yourself how they can be improved. The friendly challenge. You know, in a perfect world, some would suggest that we have armed law enforcement in every single building, perhaps several. Other types of security systems, private or community-based, but it's not a perfect world. We're all working under huge constraints of financing and economics in our districts. That is simply not likely to happen in the foreseeable future in any of our local school districts. Yes, we have a school resource officer. He's competent, trained, qualified, and is available to all buildings, but obviously he can't be in all buildings at the same time. We do, however, have a far better and more effective security presence and force, and that is your entire staff in each and every building. Each of you is a unique set of eyes, attuned to the normal rhythms and people and faces that move about your buildings. Through years of experience, you have a really fine set of senses about whether things are right with individuals as they move in and about your buildings. Each and every one of you, collectively, is the most powerful security force we can ever hope for in our schools. We emphasize in this particular slide the concept of a friendly challenge. A friendly challenge is simply a friendly greeting to anybody you see in the hallway who is not properly identified with whatever the active identification system is in your building. How do you do this? It's very simple. A meet and greet, effectively in the hallway. Hi, how are you? I see you don't have identification. Can I walk you back to the office so we can get you properly into our system, and then I'm happy to take you to your destination, or something along those lines. We do not confront. We do not stop if they resist our friendly challenge. If they are brusque and move on, that's simply a sign that something isn't right. We're not asking you to take any overt physical action at this point, other than to understand that something is not right here, and immediately, without delay, report that fact to the principal or their delegate should they be out of the building. I can tell you that in several dozen visits over the course of this project, on nearly every one, SEMA staff arrived 5 to 10 minutes early for their appointed visit. And we intentionally entered the building and took a walk around to see what happened in each and every building. Without exception, we were never stopped and challenged, even though we had intentionally avoided the identification systems in place at your front doors. We moved freely throughout the building, whether it was during class changes, or whether it was between classes, passing many different staff members who were always courteous and always gave us a friendly hello, but frankly, never stopped us to ask us about our business or to give us that friendly challenge. Hi, I see you missed our identification point. Can I walk you back there, please, so we can get you properly into our system? Again, this is an opportunity lost. We cannot have enough law enforcement personnel walking your halls every day, but we do have staff, instructional staff, support staff, move about throughout the entire building every single day. You are the most powerful security force we can have if you think of yourself as such. The friendly challenge is a key component of our culture of prevention in all school districts. It has to be utilized. It's a powerful tool. Agree as a staff that you're going to initiate and use the concept of a friendly challenge to protect yourselves, your students, and the Charlotte Public Schools community. This is the conclusion of this particular video called Building Access Controls. Again, we hope you found it informative And again, what we're about here is that culture of prevention. To the degree we can anticipate and prevent a serious event from happening, then of course we're all in agreement that that's the best way to proceed. So the friendly challenge is the single most important thing we've covered today. Please discuss it together as staff and agree that you'll all adopt this as a behavior in the future. Again, we'll refer in our final slide to that wonderful saying from Dwight Eisenhower, "Failing to plan is planning to fail." Give your school district credit. Charlotte Public Schools is planning, and is planning well and diligently to protect you, your staff, and the students. Thank you.